Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Cycle 5858. I am Amish Cycle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please let's go to the headlines.
Disney Plus every night. Tonight, the breaking news here: actor and filmmaker Rob Reiner's son arrested for murder in the killing of his parents. Tonight, the new and horrific details beginning to emerge. Police say Rob and Michelle Reiner found stabbed to death in their home in Los Angeles. Their son Nick now arrested. And what we're now learning about the scene inside the home. Reiner behind so many iconic movies. This is Spinal Tap, When Harry Met Sally, The Princess Bride, and A Few Good Men. The latest on the investigation tonight. Also breaking this evening, new images just released a short time ago by authorities, they say, of the killer still on the loose in the deadly shooting at Brown University. Dressed in black, walking through a neighborhood, his face covered by a mask, only his eyes visible. And what we've now learned about the person of interest who had been in custody. Tonight, the horrific attack on the first night of Hanukkah in Sydney. At least 15 people killed. Authorities say a father and son opening fire together. And tonight, the extraordinary images here, that heroic Samaritan tackling one of the gunmen. He was shot himself while trying to save others. Back in the U.S., outside Boston tonight, the verdict in the Brian Walsh murder trial, on trial for killing his wife and mother of three, disappearing on New Year's Day. What the jury decided. Tonight, the dangerous cold from the deep south all the way up to the northeast, what you'll face tomorrow morning. And at the big change, and the first look tonight at Christmas week across the country. Tonight, off the coast of Florida, the fire breaking out, a Coast Guard helicopter racing in. There's also news tonight on Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes and that torn ACL, what they're now saying tonight. Also this evening, the tributes pouring in for a beloved star from daytime TV. What happened? From ABC News World Headquarters in New York. These news tonight. We'll bring it to you live. We do continue to pray for all of the victims, all of their families tonight. Everyone needs to take a very close look at all of these events tonight on multiple continents, and we need to reflect on what is happening here. It is very clear that the United States and the world have returned to a pre-9/11 mindset. Let's go back to 9/11/01. 2,977 Americans killed that day. Many more killed from 9/11 related illness that is very real. Now, if you go back to the 9/11 Commission report, they did conclude the following. Radical Islamists were at war with the United States. They list all the examples that led up to 9/11, and we were not at war with them. We let our guard down. Tonight, that admonition appears to be all but forgotten. Radical Islamists, they are at war with Western civilization on multiple continents, as we are reporting. And sadly, as we all know too well, what happened here in Sydney is not an isolated incident. Here is the cold, hard truth that a lot of people do not want to say. This is all the predictable result of radical Islamists. Year after year, decade after decade, we see the same thing. No matter the country, no matter the laws, no matter the local population, generosity, if you import radical Islamists with their open borders policies, if you have no vetting to see if they have radical associations, if you embrace liberal immigration policies, or in the case of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, wide open borders, terrorism will almost inevitably follow. How many times have I said on this program, not a matter of if, it is when we will be the victim of another terrorist attack. Innocent people will die. They will have blood on their hands, but people don't have to die. It's the most preventable national security disaster, the 4 years of Biden-Harris in our country's history. In Germany, a recent terror attack at a Christmas market thankfully was thwarted after multiple similar attacks in previous years. Now, Christmas markets across Europe, all across Europe, they have had open borders, very liberalized immigration policies. They have now all been fortified with armed guards reinforced infrastructure, anti-vehicle ramming installations instead of, Christmas lights and big crowds and fun and singing and caroling, and other critical security measures take its place. They're turning joyful Christmas markets into forts. Why? Because of their radical Islamists that they welcomed with open arms into all of these European countries, and right here in this country, but Europe in particular, decades of open immigration policies. That includes the continent of Australia as well. Paris is even now reportedly canceling their in-person New Year's Eve bash that draws millions every year, all because of the threat of terrorism and the rise of violent extremism that they have allowed to enter their country unvetted. And don't for one second think that we in this country are immune from that risk. We don't even know half of who Biden, Harris, Mayorkas led into this country. According to the National Counterterrorism Center, as testified in Congress last week, as a matter of fact, there are 18,000 known suspected terrorists that are currently living right now in the United States. What do you think they're doing? I would argue they're probably plotting and planning and scheming an attack on our homeland. And after 4 years of Biden open borders, that number probably doesn't even scratch the surface. How do you calculate those that, the gotaways that we don't even know exist, supposedly? And that's not all. According to the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, again, last week she reported at least 2,000 so-called Afghan refugees that Biden let into the country. 2,000 of those have terrorism ties. And now the risk profile around the world is even worse. Since the 2023 October 7th attacks, anti-Semitism, it has exploded. It has gone unchecked around the world. It has gone unchecked in the halls of Congress. It has gone unchecked on college campuses. Radical anti-Semites have used Israel as an excuse to openly hate Jews and call for, quote, global Antifada. Sound familiar? Or globalize the Antifada. In fact, just 2 days after Jewish people were brutally attacked and abducted by Hamas, this is October 9th, 2023, radical Islamists in Australia took to the streets outside of the famous Sydney Opera House, chanting, "Where are the Jews? Gas the Jews. F the Jews." Take a look. In light of that, after October 7, 23, does what happened over the weekend shock you? Australia's government largely turned a blind eye to this horrific, unacceptable behavior and continued to welcome hardline Islamists into their country. As Miranda Devine eloquently put it in the New York Post today, Australia allowed Jewish hatred to fester with cowardly appeasement and foolish immigration decisions. Now, just days after one of the worst terror attacks in Australia's history, the country's prime minister allowed a lot of this to happen, is inexplicably more worried about right-wing extremism. Really? Take a look.
The Director General of Asia has warned about a range of threats, be it anti-Semitism, the rise of right-wing extremist groups as well, and we continue to work closely with our security agencies.
This is insane. In other words, nothing in Australia is going.
On this Monday night, legendary movie maker Rob Reiner and his wife murdered, their son in custody.
It's just a sad, shocking day.
The tributes to Reiner, who left an indelible mark on Hollywood and beyond. New details emerge about the Australian terror suspects, the victims, and the hero who took down one of the gunmen as Canada's Jewish community grieves.
My heart is broken, but my spirit is alive.
On high alert, the warning of what's to come in BC's flood zone, even as floodwaters recede. Plus, averting disaster.
It's outrageous.
What almost happened between a commercial flight and a U.S. military plane.
Global International with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. It is a dark and tragic end to the life of prominent Hollywood film director and actor Rob Reiner. His son Nick has been arrested on suspicion of murder after his parents were found stabbed to death in their Los Angeles home on Sunday. Nick Reiner has a long history of drug addiction. Tributes are flowing in for Rob Reiner, who started out as an actor and went on to direct multiple hit movies, including When Harry Met Sally and The Princess Bride. Jackson Prosco has our top story on what's been revealed about the murders.
Rob Reiner's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame is becoming a growing tribute to the celebrated director and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner. They were found stabbed to death inside their Los Angeles home Sunday afternoon. Monday, police confirmed their son, 32-year-old Nick Reiner, was in custody.
They worked throughout the night on this case and were able to take into custody Nick Reiner, a suspect in this case. He was subsequently booked for murder.
The 78-year-old Reiner was a Hollywood legend, described as a big-hearted genius.
You are a meathead.
Rose to fame playing Archie Bunker's son-in-law on All in the Family, and went on to direct and act in a library of beloved films, becoming a champion of progressive causes along the way.
Oh, I'm shocked. And I remember it from way back when, starting with All in the Family.
Rob was like a father to me. He was like a father to me.
Jerry O'Connell was a child actor in Reiner's classic film Stand By Me.
Everything I have is because of Rob Reiner. Everything I have. It's just a sad, shocking day.
Police haven't revealed further details about the circumstances of their deaths. Their son Nick, the lone suspect, had spoken openly about his struggles with drug use and homelessness over the years.
It was never about the drugs. All I ever wanted was a way to kill the noise.
He and his father co-wrote the film Being Charlie, loosely based on his story. He recently appeared alongside his parents at the premiere of Reiner's latest film. Now the family home is a crime scene for a tragedy that has shaken the worlds of entertainment and politics. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
Rob Reiner was known for work behind the camera and in front of it, and for his politics. A little later, Eric Sorensen looks at his legacy. Now to that massacre on Bondi Beach in Australia. 15 people were killed and dozens injured when two gunmen targeted Jewish people who were celebrating Hanukkah, the Jewish festival of lights. Police say the gunmen were a father and son. And Australia's Prime Minister says there's no evidence they were part of a larger terrorist cell. Many Jewish Australians, though, say the attack on their community is a realization of their worst fears.
It's just grief, utter grief. Anger will set in, but at the moment it's more disbelief than anything.
Redmond Shannon reports on what we know about the shooting and the gunman.
Grief and shock in what is normally a place.
That house is going to pay her rent. Thank you.
The New South Wales Premier defends the police response as more is revealed about the father-son shooters who travelled to the Philippines to receive military-style training before the attack.
We continue to work through the motive of this tragedy. I think it's really important that our investigators continue to be given time to do that.
Israel's ambassador pays tribute to the victims of Sunday's terror attack at the growing public memorial at Bondi Pavilion, as Jewish leaders make impassioned calls for unity.
Just for Jews, but for every single Australian, be more godly. We created the image of God. Let's all act in the image of God. Let's love each other. Let's care for each other.
And the Prime Minister visits the Bondi hero, Ahmed El-Ahmed, praising him for his courage. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Joanna Nicholson. The New South Wales Premier has defended the police response to Sunday's mass shooting event in Bondi in the wake of ongoing criticism. Chris Minns, the Prime Minister, and other authorities have faced a barrage of questions from reporters about whether police were properly prepared and whether they acted appropriately. Mr. Minns says any suggestion police didn't live up to their responsibilities should be rejected.
The New South Wales Police acted with bravery and integrity. They didn't take a backward step. They engaged the gunman on the footbridge with handguns. The offenders had long-range rifles, and New South Wales police officers were responsible for killing one of them and shooting the other one, and as a result, saving many, many people's lives.
A critical incident investigation has been set to examine the role of police in response to the attack. The state's police commissioner, Mal Lanyon, says he would look into revelations the two gunmen had travelled to the Philippines before the attack.
When did Australian authorities first have intelligence about that training? I think we've been fairly clear that the reason that the Acrams travelled to the Philippines, where they went, is unknown at this stage and subject to the investigation.
And our reporter Ben Knight is at Bondi Beach for us this afternoon and joins us now. Ben, good afternoon to you. The floral tribute there has been growing at Bondi all day. There's been an incredible response. Who's been among the crowd there at Bondi?
Yeah, so in fact, let's take a look at it. If you can see it, it certainly is, it's grown.
Hello, good morning. It's 6 o'clock on Tuesday, the 16th of December. Australia is still reeling from its deadliest attack in nearly 3 decades. 15 innocent lives lost and 25 others remain in hospital. As the grieving continues, authorities reveal the gunmen were inspired by Islamic State. Also ahead, Trump demands $10 billion from the BBC over an edit of his speech before the Capitol riots. Rob Ryan's son arrested on suspicion of murdering his parents in Los Angeles. And at 6:40, we'll be taking a look at the headlines in today's papers with Forum Go Wide. Hello, very good morning to you. Well, flowers continue to be laid at Bondi Beach in Sydney for the 15 innocent people killed by a father and son who opened fire at a Hanukkah celebration. Authorities now say the terrorists were inspired by Islamic State and are investigating why the pair visited the Philippines last month. 25 people remain in hospital, with 6 in a critical condition. Cordelia Lynch reports.
Amidst the grief comes the slow drip of revelations. The Australian Prime Minister confirmed the alleged gunman who carried out the deadly massacre here on Bondi Beach appeared to be motivated by Islamic State ideology. For a Jewish community that feels deeply exposed, he tried to offer words of reassurance.
My message to Jewish Australians is that we stand with you as a nation. We embrace you at what is a terrible time. These anti-Semitic terrorist attacks will not be successful with their objective, which is to divide us as a nation.
But at the Central Synagogue in Sydney, those words ring hollow for Daniel Lukowitz.
He's done nothing for 2 years as the country became increasingly divided into the Jewish community and large groups that were vilifying the Jewish community.
Do you hold him responsible?
Thank you for watching Ahmed Shakil 5858. I am Ahmed Shakil. I hope you will visit again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.